I seriously feel like I haven't done this in like a month or so. And I'm just like, how does everything go? Where do I go? What are we
How do I
talking
push
about?
this
Who
button
are
again?
we? Do I
Who
talk
are
in the
we?
microphone like this? Like this?
Your hair looks good for that pose. Yeah. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's doing very awkward things. I just got it
Mine
freshly
too.
cut.
I
Oh
just
my
got
God.
out of bed.
Yours is doing things that are quite amazing, actually.
I didn't even brush it today. I was like, no, I'll just put a hood on instead.
If you didn't tell me you didn't put a brush through it, I would have never noticed.
I know. It's so perfectly coiffed.
This is so great. We were talking about our hair and how we're like sitting because like we're on a podcast.
Look at it. It's sticking straight up right here in the middle.
Well, welcome everybody to the Brightside podcast with Mikey and Rachel. I am Mikey.
I'm Rachel, and this is
the
the
podcast where we talk about Lindy Hop and say things the same things and
At the
we
same
talk about
time
things.
Yay!
Can you tell we've done this before?
Never.
Never.
How are
Exactly.
you?
I'm good. I did and I didn't have Thanksgiving. Does that make sense?
I mean, I don't know.
'Cause-
Why don't you expand a little bit, and then I'll see
we're-
if it makes sense to me.
We're recording on Black Friday, which is the horrible day on which people spend lots of money.
It's true.
And that's the day after Thanksgiving in America. And yesterday, I mean, I'm still in Madrid, of course, and I went out with friends to have this lunch, but it wasn't because they thought it was Thanksgiving. They just were like, well, oh yeah. And I reminded them that it was like, it's Thanksgiving, so this is perfect. They're like,
Oh,
perfect, whatever that means. And we ate so much hummus. It was so good.
the traditional Thanksgiving treat.
Traditional Israeli Thanksgiving treat with lots of pita bread and lots of little vegetables. But like, oh my God, it was so good.
That sounds
So
delicious.
I filled myself up, and that's what I mean by Thanksgiving. And I sent a bunch of messages to my family and everything, and because they were all getting together, so that was really good. But it wasn't traditional Thanksgiving, but it's all right. I'll make my.
Did you have the FOMO last night, as your family was all eating?
Kind of, but not really. Like they didn't send many pictures, and which was fine with me. That way
So
I
I don't
wasn't
want to
like.
see their ugly faces anyway.
Yeah, well, that way I wasn't like 5 a.m. and me like looking at pictures, being like, now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was really good because I didn't have that like fear of missing out. Like I just like was like a little bit like, oh man, they're all getting together, and it's fun to get together with my cousins and everything and like drink and be stupid. But like I could do that here with a lot of other Spanish speaking people, so it's just like home.
It's true.
That is
true.
How was yours? How was your Thanksgiving or?
It was good. My parents were originally supposed to come out for Thanksgiving, and then they ditched us.
Oh,
I know.
what did they go to like Florida or something instead?
No. No. So what happened was we had a family reunion in October for my grandmother's 85th birthday.
Right.
And so they thought it was too much to take another trip in November.
That's hilarious. It's like we already did one already.
We already did a trip, so we're done. We're done for the rest of the year. So they were like, no, we're not going to come out, which was actually totally fine.
Yeah.
So we ended up going out with a couple friends, and we went to a very authentic Chinese restaurant in Monterey Park.
Nice.
And everyone spoke Cantonese there, and so we just we didn't even order for ourselves. We just sat there and let Sam Chan order for us.
Does he speak Cantonese? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he speaks Cantonese.
Oh my goodness, that's cool.
But what was funny was Vicky was with us, and she's from Taiwan. But everybody thought that she spoke Cantonese, so they all the waiters were coming up to her and speaking to her, and she would just speak English back, and they would be a little confused.
That's hilarious. It's like you
but-
kind of look the part. Oh, wait a minute, you're from that other little place.
That other place. But the food was really good. It was fun. It was very
assume
adventurous.
Sorry, I'm just stuck in that. I'm like, I assume that's like when like South Americans like get together or like in different countries down there, and then like they see another brown person, they start talking to them in Spanish, and then the other brown person starts talking back in Portuguese instead of Spanish. So it's like, wait a minute, you look the part, but you say it a bit different.
The other day I was walking down my street and this old woman started speaking Armenian to me. Did I tell you about that?
That's perfect.
She was just
That's great.
speaking to me, and I stopped and stared at her, and she was like, "Are you Armenian?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "I need an apartment in this neighborhood." And I was like, "Well, I can't help you. I'm not like a real estate agent or a apartment renting website."
That's so perfect. That's so perfect. You just look like a Kardashian, apparently.
I've had a couple people say that to me. Like I had this Lyft driver a few months ago who lives down in Compton, and he was like, "Oh man, so yeah, like I saw where you were when I had to pick you up," and I was like, "Oh, little Armenian girl." But then I saw your name, and I was like, "Oh, that doesn't sound Armenian. But you're just a regular white girl."
That's so perfect.
Like, there's no law that you have to be Armenian to live in Little Armenia.
But I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of Armenians there.
It's true, but there's also like a lot of Mexicans who live here too.
True.
There's a large Mexican population in Little Armenia, so.
As identified by the taco shop around the corner.
Exactly. Oh man, I'm gonna miss that place.
Me too. Oh my gosh, I just realized this. When I move back to California, will you guys have already moved?
Yeah,
Hopefully.
When you're coming back.
Hopefully.
When are you coming back?
Mid-December.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Oh no.
We'll be in the new place.
Oh no.
I know.
That's crazy. That's gonna be weird.
I'm
gonna be like, where are we? I don't like this place.
I don't know where we are.
You were telling me something earlier about this Chinese restaurant. They had something.
Oh my God! Yeah, so
peculiar, something fun. Maybe
they had this lobster dish. I don't know what it was, but it was like they had lots of lobster dishes, but it was like a lobster with a whole shell, and then they
not the half shell because that's Ninja Turtles.
Exactly. They took out the eyes of the lobster, and then they stuck in these bright blinking lights, like these big bulbousy blinking lights. And so you would see all these waiters carrying these plates of lobster around with blinking lights.
That's the best thing. I mean, like that is like the next level of at the end of A Christmas Story.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what that is, but I want it. Can I get this, but does it come with the blinking lights? Oh, it doesn't. Oh, then no thanks. I don't want the. Is it possible to get the blinking lights?
I just want the blinking lights. Yeah, I just want
I
to
just
see
need
them.
a couple
I wanna
blinking
hold them.
lights.
I want to put them in my head. I want to put them in my eye sockets, and then have you guys serve me to my table, and I think it'll be hilarious. Can you guys do that? And they're just gonna be like Cantonese.
Cantonese.
They can't.
We were like the only white people. We were the only white people in there, with the exception of like one other dude on the other side of the restaurant.
Yeah. Did you guys give an approving nod to each other? Be like, hey.
No, I was like, no, I don't know this guy. I don't know you.
We're all incognito.
I'm not giving you the light of day. I don't know you. You're not the boss of me.
Oh my God, that would have been great if you went up to that other person and just been like, "You're not the boss of me. We don't have to say hi. Bye."
Bye. I'm not gonna say hi, but I am gonna say bye.
I imagine in my head that those lobsters came out with like the big old school like 1980s Christmas lights like coming out.
They were like.
That's what I see in my head.
They were like maybe a couple inches big, maybe like 2 or 3 inches. They were big.
So like the big Christmas tree lights or outside lights, you know?
They were like they looked like a foggy, kind of like soft rubbery kind of material, and
oh, weird.
Yeah, and they were red. They blinked red, and it was like one, like they would alternate like beep 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 beep.
I bet that, like, I wonder if they were thinking in the back, they were just like, gastronomy, yeah, like where you put like science and food together. Somebody get me some lights. I have an idea.
I just love the idea of someone being like, the only thing that could make this dish better at this point is some blinking lights. Here's what we do.
Guys, hear
I
me
got
out.
it. I
Hear
got
me
it.
out. Hear me out. Lobster. Eyes.
Lights.
Lobster. Eyes. Lights. Lobster. Lights. Put lights in there. Put lights in them. I fucking love it. I love that. I love that so much. I wish you had taken pictures, and I wish I would have seen it.
I wish we would have ordered it. It would have been fun.
Oh man, that's some good
But-
stuff. You know what's funny? I don't even like lobster. I
Really?
hate it. I hate lobster and crab and shellfish. Basically,
Yummy.
no amount of butter will make that stuff taste good in my mouth. But yeah.
That's a
So
shame.
Rachel,
Yeah.
what was one of your favorite things of the last couple dance events you've been to? What was one of your favorite things besides, of course, like social dancing?
The last couple events that I've been to?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, probably the live music. Always a good one when there's good
Yeah.
live music. That makes it fun. Seeing
Does
my
it make you wanna-
friends.
Does it? Sorry, I want to stick on this one for a second. Like, do you think it's the live music that makes you want to stay at the event, or was it just kind of like an extra? Sorry, not stay at the event, but go to an event.
Oh, ooh, that's a really tough question.
Is it because it depends on what the band is, like if you know them or not? As in, like,
Yeah,
you've heard this band before?
Well, I think that there are a lot of factors to whether or not I decide to go to an event. If I know the music is going to be particularly terrible, I probably won't want to go.
Right.
But I won't go to an event just because they have good music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's not a deal breaker to you.
Yeah. Well, it's not a deal maker.
Okay.
It's not a deal maker.
Right,
I mean,
right.
like, I wanna go to an event where probably my friends are gonna be at, or it all depends on like the time and the affordability and like what's actually going on at the event. I don't know. There's a lot
that's
of
true.
factors.
There's a lot of factors, and actually one of them for me that I'm like, I feel the same way. Like, there's a lot of different things, and it depends on like how I'm feeling in that time of the year or whatever, you know. But I think for me, like, one of the biggest things, and this is gonna be maybe rare, like it's kind of a funny, weird one, but it's the amount of late night time there is for dancing. Like after the band
Is done.
after the contests, if there's contests and stuff, like
Yeah.
the late night dancing, basically like anything after 1 a.m.
Yeah, that
And-
time slot is so hard for me.
Yeah, for a lot of people, but like I'm such a night owl. Like I just like being up late, and then on top of that, I want to see if there's anything interesting that event does with that late night time. Like one of the biggest things for a couple of the events that we put on, like Inspiration Weekend and I help with Cowbell, is that trying to figure out like what makes people stay for a late night. What makes people want to stay? So like this year in Inspiration Weekend, we're adding a late night band.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we're trying to like make people stay and give them a reason to stay much later than they normally would at any other dance locally or at a different dance event.
Yeah, we used to do that for our exchange in Albuquerque. We had a late night band.
Yeah, how did that go for you guys? Did you find that anybody stayed much longer than usually might not?
I mean, we didn't have a good comparison as opposed to like people who do stay and people who don't stay. But the dance was like well attended until the very
there you go.
end.
That's cool. Yeah, and that for me is like something like, how do I get people to stay? You know, it's just like any other kind of, I feel like that's sort of like a business mentality. It's like, once I have a customer, how do I make them come back, or how do I make them stay in the store?
Returning customers.
Yeah. And so like when you put on the exchange, did you do that with like just you guys? Was just you and Brett, or was it you guys and plus a couple other people?
Well, the first year that we started the exchange, I think there was like an army of us.
Really?
Yeah, there might have been like, There might have been like 7 or 8 of us.
Wow.
And it was a hot mess.
Yeah.
And it was one of those situations where like someone was like, we should organize an event. And then other people were like, I want to be involved. Me too. I want to help. And instead of being like, oh, we're just going to do this thing, we'll find something for you, we were like, oh yeah, come on in. The more the merrier. And then we like quickly saw the people who did actually want to do it and the people who just like wanted to have their name on the bill, you know?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the people just coming in for the fame and glory of putting on a dance event because everyone knows that that's where
that's
happens.
where the fame and glory comes from. Exactly. But I do think that that's what it was. And so then the second year it got pared down and it eventually was just myself, Brett, Kevin Clark, and Danny Easley. And it was the 4 of us for everything. It was for our events. It was for teaching classes, for whatever. Like it was always the 4 of us that did everything.
Oh, that's good. I mean, is that where you guys found out that it was the 4 of you, or was that just happening already? And then you guys were like, maybe we should just go back to the regular way of doing it.
It started larger and then it like slowly got pared down.
Oh, okay. No, but beyond that, after the exchange.
What do you mean?
I thought you said you guys pared it down already for the exchange, and then it went on.
Oh yeah. Like once we realized it was like the 4 of us that work well together, we were like, let's just keep it the 4 of us because as like the least amount of cooks in the kitchen is the best.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can attest to that for sure. Like, and being in doing the 4 people that do Inspiration Weekend, like that's just enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's great to get the different opinions in there and everything, but we have to come to consensus, and like that can always, hurt if there's more voices in there.
What was the first event you ever organized?
I think it was when I started to help with Inspiration Weekend, because they had already been doing it like 2 years, and then they took a break, and then when they decided to bring it back, and they being Shaysha and Nikki, decided to bring it back, they were like, hey, we want you to come aboard and like help us out, and I think in the break time they had started doing the cancer dance-a-thon.
Okay.
And in that sense, they had like a bunch of people involved because it's such a charity event.
Yeah.
That they had a lot of people enthusiastically wanting to help out. So they were like, oh, there's something to this kind of group thing that maybe we can bring it to Inspiration Weekend when they brought it back. So they brought me and James aboard to help out with the event, as in like pre-planning and organizing at the event and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember back then, like, it was just like I was kind of nervous, and I would just do the bare minimum, as in like I wouldn't put like 100% of my 2 cents into it. I just go along with what they said because I felt like I was working for them. And then as time went on, I was just doing contests back then too, and that was it. And that was my first time ever running anything contest. And over time, they made me feel like, no, it's the 4 of us, and like we can all do this together, and we want to hear the opinions. And then but I think no matter what, like we still have like Shaysha would be like the person that would be like, if we couldn't come to like a good, clear answer, he would just be like, hear it all out and then just make the decision.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do in a group, because you want to be like, my idea is the best, and someone comes in, no, my idea is the best. No, my idea is gonna work because it works like this, like all that kind of stuff, and that always happens, and I feel like we would say it all out loud, and if we couldn't come to something, then Shay would just be like, okay, we're gonna do this, and that was hard to hear because I was like, well, it wasn't my idea, okay, and then over time I'm just like, well, that's what we're going to go with, so I'm going to stand behind it, like I'm going to go with it and make it the best thing we could possibly make out of that. So that's
for
what I
Inspiration
learned.
Weekend, does he have like final say? Like if
Pretty
everyone
much.
Okay.
Pretty much. I mean, like if he doesn't even know, then he'll just be like, I'm just going to go with your plan and do that. Like he's pretty good at doing that. Like if he doesn't feel any particular way about something, he'll just be like, what do you think it should be? To me or to Nikki or to James, and just be like, I feel like it should be this, and he's like, all right, let's just go with that then. You know,
Cool.
he's pretty good with that. Unless he feels a certain way about something, then he's pretty easygoing with going on that. But yeah, so with all the organization stuff, like it's so funny because Inspiration Weekend was born out of like, well, one, there was no dance event in Orange County at the time, and two, he was getting Shaysha and Nikki were both getting really inspired by watching all of the old clips of dancing. For as much dancing experience that Shaysha had, he didn't really have a connection to like the old clips or the roots of it. So he was getting more and more into it. And he's like, oh man, I'm getting inspired by these old clips and like the stories and like the people today, like putting all the energy and knowledge to use in the dance. So he tried to come up with an event that came up with many different aspects of how to get inspired into Lindy Hop. Classes, contests, creativity in the contests, like just random stuff, listening to live music, lots of social dancing. There was a couple other things that he tried in the very beginning that were fun, but like, a little bit wacky. But just trying so many different ways is like all this stuff. And I feel like even now today, as we go into what will be the 10th anniversary of the first time we did it, is that we're adding the live music track, as in like the band track. Yeah. Well, we did it last year, and this year like we're trying to pump it up even more and like give it that extra flavor. And we're having Michael Gamble come in and head up that whole track. So anybody coming in is going to learn directly from him, basically.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your first event? Was the exchange, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had organized workshops before that, like small local workshops, but that was like the first large event that I had ever put on.
Was it scary?
Oh, it was scary. It was scary. We were super insecure. It was the Albuquerque Lindy Exchange. We were super insecure about anybody coming, and so we decided to do it in conjunction with the Albuquerque Django Fest.
Oh. That's a good idea. I've been to a couple exchanges where they did it in conjunction with Jazz Fests. It was
good in theory. It was good in theory.
That's so great. I love that you said that.
And like our friends have this really great gypsy jazz band in Albuquerque, and they're really good. And we really liked dancing to them at the time. And so we were like, and they were organizing the event. And so we were like, hey, we want to partner with you guys. But it ended up being more like we had to adhere to their schedule. Like we weren't allowed to really like collaborate together. It was more like they have their thing and our people are allowed to come.
How long ago was that?
That was in 2008.
Oh, okay. Well, not that bad.
And so the thing that we didn't account for was that there are gypsy bands out there that are not gypsy jazz. They're like modern contemporary bands with electric guitars and like kind of like electronic music almost, like very ethereal.
Really? Wow.
And so Saturday night of the event at our main dance, their headlining band for the weekend was this contemporary band that had electric guitars and had this weird ethereal sound to it. And it was terrible for the dancers. It was terrible.
Yeah, of course.
People were sitting on the floor. People were trying to dance to it, but the songs were going like 10, 12, 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
Which is so hard to do.
Yeah.
Especially when like most of your crowd is like intermediate dancers. Mm-hmm. And they just they didn't really understand why we weren't on board with their bands.
That's so funny. It's like, why aren't you guys dancing?
Yeah, and like in retrospect, in real retrospect, we should have not partnered with them because we didn't need them.
Right.
But also, we should have done more research on the bands before committing to it, so that we knew what we were going up against. You know.
Right, and a lot of that, like that's so good that you said that. I mean, like going back to what you said before, it's like in theory. This is a really good idea. And I think I heard another event organizer, like in his like welcoming speech to the event, he was like, all of this organization and planning, it's all in theory until right now. Right now, we put it into like we implement it, and then we find out if it really works.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you've been doing an event for a long time, or unless like you have a real like really great idea about what's exactly going to happen. Everything's in theory. Like in theory, this contest is supposed to run like this. In theory, the whole weekend is going to run like on time.
Yeah.
Which is I feel like one of those things that happen.
The thing that we found with the four of us was that we were good at planning for worst case scenarios. We would like, and it was totally because of Brett, because he's that kind of person.
Yeah,
but we'd be like, worst case scenario, this is what's going to happen. Worst case scenario, this is how it's going to run. Worst case scenario, this is how many people are going to show up for the event. And so we would almost always exceed our expectations because we were always planning for the worst case scenario, which ended up making us like feel better about everything,
Yeah. Was that the first Albuquerque Lindy exchange?
Yeah.
There was none before that.
None before that ever.
Wow, that's crazy. That's so cool because like I feel like 2008 was like, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but I feel like at that point, like it was starting to change over where there was like a little bit less of exchanges and more like dance events, that we know of today.
And the reason why we had decided to do an exchange in the first place was because we'd been like becoming friendly with the scene in Phoenix and with the scene in Denver.
Right.
Both of those people were like, you should have an exchange, especially because the Phoenix exchange at the time was in conjunction with the jazz festival there.
Yeah.
And that was like a pretty well-attended event at the time.
Yeah, I remember going to there a bunch of times.
Yeah. And Denver had its exchange, and that was a popular one.
Yeah.
And so we were like, oh, that feels like an easy starter event. If we could throw this event, this is the way we're going to do it. We only need 50 people to attend to break even. I know.
Worst case.
I think we were selling tickets for $35. $35.
And then so then you adjust for inflation, and then you add the percentage point, and you do that. And I'm horrible at math, so I'm assuming $35 today is 10 Trump bucks.
Oh God. Oh, our events were so stupid cheap. I think we probably could have charged more for them now.
Yeah, but I mean, you knew your base of people, like you said before.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of college kids and stuff. So I mean, $35 is not bad for like 3 nights of dancing, right?
No, totally. And we ended up getting like, I think we broke just over 100 people for our first exchange, and so we were like blown away at how many people showed up. It just got better from there.
Was that then the precursor to like 505 Stomp and stuff?
Sort of. Well, so we started with the Lindy Exchange in 2008, and then I think it was maybe in 2010 or 2009, Kevin had become president of Jitterbugs Anonymous, the old swing dance club on campus. And he wanted to throw a national event. And the awesome thing about Jitterbugs Anonymous was that it was one of the larger clubs on campus. And so it could get a lot of funding from the student government because they had a large base to draw from, and a lot of people were going to the club.
Money.
Money. And so the student government really liked the club. And also, like, the other clubs would be like, we want $2,000 for this new laptop. And they'd be like, that's a really fancy laptop. Do you need that laptop? And then the chess club would be like, we really need this laptop. And they'd be like, but you're a chess club.
That's great because I bet you guys can be like, we need $2,000 for this whole weekend of stuff. And they're like, really? A festival?
Yeah, exactly. We were like, we're throwing a festival. We're bringing in world-class dancers. We're teaching all these people how to dance.
It's swing dancing, Americana.
It's swing dancing.
They're like, yeah, nothing's wrong with swing dancing.
Exactly.
Wink, wink.
Winky. And so he decided to throw this event, and the student government...
Being Kevin.
Kevin, yeah. Mm-hmm. The student government helped supplement a lot of the oh my God.
The cost? The budget?
The cost?
Yeah.
Jesus. I just like became like 89 years old all of a sudden.
No problem. I got you. I'll catch you if you fall, and I'll throw you right back in.
Catch
No
me
problem.
if I fall. And so they brought out 3 couples to teach, and it ended up being like a really good weekend. And then I think the second year, he brought on me and Brett to help him. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I think the third year, then it was like no longer a part of the student government, and it was Jitterbugs Anonymous, and it was just the 4 of us running it autonomously.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is like, I have you help me with so much. Like, I always feel like safe when you're around, like when I'm doing events, like, because I'm like, 1, experienced, 2, super easy to work with. Yeah. And like 3, it's like if any shit happens, like I can depend on you. Like,
I'm like the babysitter.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I watch out for you.
Yeah,
like you're about to step in a big pile of doo-doo, and I'm like, no, let's go this way instead.
I mean, I feel like that's already happened, and I can't remember it because I blocked it out. But if you say so, I'll agree with you. And the other thing is I brought you guys along a little bit, but I say that like really hesitantly because it's more like I brought you guys on to make sure I didn't mess up.
Yeah.
Because like at that point, like when I brought you and Brett over to do IW with me, you guys had way more experience than me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like, and so that's how I felt. Like I was like, okay, if I have them along, I can trust on what they do, and like have them check something and everything, or whatever, you know. And so it's like
the first one you brought us on for was cowbell.
I thought it was Inspiration Weekend. Are you sure?
Yeah, because we moved here in September, and then that following January or February, whenever cowbell was, we helped out with the competitions that year, and then we helped for Inspiration the following month.
Look, I catch you when you fall, you catch me when I fall.
But I think that it was super awesome of you to do that, because then like now it was like a good way for us to get involved in the scene, because we didn't know how to get involved otherwise.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
Los Angeles.
Because it's so gigantic.
Because it's so gigantic.
But that's the thing. Like I felt like having your experience along like would have helped anyways in like watching us and be like, and be like, okay, this way. You know, like I'll move right and you'll be like, I'm like, okay, left, and you're like, I'm like, okay, great, yeah, we're doing it, we're doing this correctly, because it could be stressful. It could be stressful because, like we said before, like it's all theory. But one of the best things I found, besides like having a good team around, is just having a clear like agenda or like a dream or like a goal to hit for, like. As in, like, why do you do an event? Do you do it because, and I'm saying this to the universe, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why do an event? Because there's so many out there in the world, in the United, like the biggest scenes, basically like Europe and like Eurasia and America, and there's a ton actually happening in South America, and Australia, which is also great. But like right now, it's like Europe. I swear, like every weekend, there's like 2 or 3.
That's so crazy.
So. If we were to start up an event, I feel like the biggest thing we would have to be is like, why do it? You know, not just like trying to fill in a gap or just trying to do it for fun, but like there's got to be a really clear agenda. Like, and I feel like things like ILHC, the clear agenda there is to compete. There's shit tons of contests, all different levels for all different dancers.
Yeah.
So like. That's really great. You clearly make that judgment and then you go for it. But sometimes events don't have that. I feel like events just happen and they're just like, we're just trying to do this thing. And that's it.
Well, I feel like a lot of events are just there to fill a hole.
You think so?
I mean, maybe.
What was the last event that you felt like it wasn't like very clear and it was just felt like a run-of-the-mill event? You don't have to say the event.
Like, well, just like, well,
Was that too hard? Was that too weird?
Well, I think it's hard to say because I think a lot of people running events run them for different reasons, and I don't know what those reasons are, and I'm not spending enough time in other local communities to know whether or not those events are filling holes or not in their community.
So it ends up being like a muddled mess where it's just like, oh, there's nothing that sparkle, but that special thing that an event can bring to someone's dancing. You didn't really feel it.
Maybe I'm not understanding the question very well.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Like, okay, so let's put it a different way. What was the last event you went to that had something very special about it? That added value, that you felt like added value to to the whole dancing.
I would say a couple months ago.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to say the event or no?
ILHC.
Oh, really?
I think that's a pretty valuable event.
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I was like, oh,
really?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think I see the value of it, and I don't often take the view from other people. Like, I'm just like, this is what it means to me. Moving on. And I think it's great, but like, why do you think it's so special? What's the value of it?
Well, I think it's like the premier contest weekend of the world.
Yeah. So
for Lindy Hop.
Do you like it because you get a chance to compete, or do you like it because you like watching the competitions?
I think it's both. Like, I get to compete against like the best of the best at my level. I also get to watch the best of the best throw down. Like, people spend all year preparing for ILHC.
Yeah. Or a couple weeks before.
Or a couple weeks before. But you know that there are tons of people out there right now who are like looking for songs, starting choreographies, planning for ILHC because they feel like it is so valuable to their dancing as a career or moving forward or putting their name on the map or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It's so great. I mean, it's so great that you get that. Like for me on my end, the one event that I went to that was like super special, that had that thing that added value was Harlem. In Lithuania earlier this year, or in the middle of this year. It was great because, like, I don't know, it's just a mixture of things that happen there. It's not something specific. It's not like the teachers. It's not the classes. It's not the bands. It's not the dancers that go. Well, actually, to be fair, it's actually probably the dancers that go. As I said that, I was like, no, that's wrong. That's where it is. It's something that everybody just feels like they go to, and they've had so many experiences. Like, and maybe it was just started as a handful of people that had this great experience, and it spread like wildfire through the European scene. And it's such a great place. Most of the dances all in one space called the New York Club, and it's just iconic. Like, I don't know if you ever saw this like clip of Zacharias and Frida dancing on like this wooden floor, dancing in front of like a really high stage.
They were dancing on a wood floor?
Because that never happens.
That's like unheard of.
That never happens. Never happens. But I mean, there was this clip that I saw a long time ago, and I remember watching it. I was like, it's
like a really old clip.
Not super old, but like I just remember seeing it before. Like I had traveled a lot to Europe.
Okay.
And I just remember going, wow, that place is amazing. Wow, that place looks really pretty too. And I could feel the electricity coming off of it. And then I go there, and then I forget about that. And then I get to the venue, and I'm like, holy shit, this is the place.
Yeah.
So for me, it kind of had this like nostalgic, like, oh my God, I remember being super inspired by this one clip of these dancers like just killing it. And then now I'm here, and not only that, I get to perform on the same floor and, in the same space. And I felt like, it's that nice kind of, I saw something, and then now I get a chance to kind of maybe, hopefully, give that experience out to somebody else again, reproduce it or recycle it or something, whatever. I mean, just like, it's just an honor. And then on top of that, maybe someone else feels that about something. And that's, I mean, you can plan it all day long, but that's just the magic that happens in an event that I feel like is so fucking beautiful.
I feel like this question though is so subjective because, and like someone could be like, oh, my local dance was really special because that's where I got really excited about Lindy Hop or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I got to hear this band for the first time, or oh, I met this out of town dancer, or
But
you know,
yeah, totally. No, totally. It totally is. But as like an organizer, is there
Yeah.
things you can do to like help encourage that atmosphere?
I don't necessarily think it's my place to help encourage anything if it's not my event.
No, I know,
Like,
but if it's your event, if
Oh, if it's my event?
yeah.
I mean, I think a big part of it is the people who show up. I don't necessarily have control over the people who show up. When I used to run events, I would invite a lot of people to come as like special guests. But because it was Albuquerque, most people didn't want to take us up on that offer. They'd be right. Come to Albuquerque for free? No, thanks.
Yeah. But it's funny because like I remember when you guys were there, like I felt like it was such a good feeling. Like it felt really amazing. And then as you were just speaking, I just remembered one thing because I was hoping you might say it, but you didn't. But I'm gonna bring it up.
Yeah, bring it up.
Do you remember the video you guys made?
Which one?
The call.
Oh, we have two of them.
Oh, the one where you went out and it was just you like walking amongst the nature.
Yeah. Like standing.
Yeah.
Okay. So for a promo video one year, I forget what year it is, for the Albuquerque and Lindy Exchange.
Doesn't matter.
It's this video, and we'll have to post it. But it starts with me in bed, and the alarm goes off. I hit the alarm, and I pull the sheets back, and I get out of bed, and I'm fully dressed, like shoes on and everything. Mm-hmm. And then it's just showing me like getting into my car, driving through the city, driving up into the mountains, and then I'm hiking and I'm hiking and I'm hiking. And finally I get to the top of the mountain and I'm on this ledge, and the ledge looks out into this canyon. It's like this really cool spot. My friend calls it the makeout spot because it's like the perfect place to go and make out with somebody.
Yeah, and you can see everything.
Stupid gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And I just start screaming. And then at the end it says like, Lindy Hoppers heed the call, Albuquerque Lindy Exchange.
You know what was funny about that? I mean, classic fucking Mikey. I didn't follow through on something. And I remember seeing that and I'm going like, that's fucking genius. All I wanted to do was do response videos. So I went to like 4 events leading up to that one. And I don't even remember if I actually went to that event. I don't know if that was like 505 or if it was the English Exchange or not. Do you remember?
I don't remember, but now it might be 505. I don't remember.
Not important. It's fine because all I wanted to do was make a response to that.
You should have.
I know. I really wanted to. I really wanted to like have people have like listen to something and then like run out of the room.
You should watch our second video because that's exactly what happens. It starts with the end of our first video of me walking out onto the ledge, and then we cut to people of all different walks of life all over the city. They stop whatever they're doing. Like there's a girl who's like pushing her baby in the park, and she stops and she just like walks away from her baby and starts screaming. Or like there's 2 guys sitting in a restaurant and like the waitress is there to take their order, and then all of a sudden they hear the call and then they just start screaming, and they're like like just staring at each other, like screaming, like ah!
It was this like funny. It was like this funny way of like participating in something without having to like do much. Like oh, I heard something. Like that's so great, and I felt like that was a great buzz to have. And when the year I went to 505, out to 505 from you guys, like the feeling I got was still there. Like that kind of like this like raw sentiment of like just, oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. Are you excited? Yes, of course. Oh my God, we should dance. Oh, it's just huge excitement of like built up. Yeah. And like that's what I feel like. And that yell was like such a great image to show. It's like you have something built up, just like let it out because this is the place where everyone's gonna let it out.
Yeah, I mean, that was our bread and butter because like, let's be real here. Albuquerque doesn't have a lot to offer to people. Like, it's beautiful.
Meth,
obviously. But like, as a Lindy Hopper, there's not a lot of incentive to go to Albuquerque because the scene isn't that great. Like, it's small and it's fun, but it doesn't lend itself to like awesome, inspirational Lindy hopping. There is now, but at the time there was no bands there. So we had to fly bands in.
Right.
And there was no one who was like nationally renowned as an instructor or a performer or whatever.
Right.
And the city is not that interesting to most Lindy hoppers, I think. And so
you sold me. I'm going to get away from there.
But it was hard to get people to come out. Like, people would come if we were paying them, because who's going to refuse money? Mm-hmm. But it was a lot of like word of mouth and being like stupidly excited about stuff, even if we weren't actually on the inside. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
yeah, totally.
I think that's what really put us on the map, was like having that raw energy.
But maybe, but that's like a really good precedent, because like maybe you don't have to have the best scene, the best city. All you have to do is create like a want to be there, and create like a nice sense of community, and like saying like, you guys should come, and you guys should come, and just going out there and inviting people, like, is not a horrible thing. It's like, it's actually really, really great. That way you can depend on having this certain atmosphere. So that's a way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think our events did have a pretty good vibe, especially once we really started hitting our stride and like figuring out how to be a little bit more organized and stuff.
Yeah.
But it never reached the critical mass that we were trying to get it to reach. Like, we wanted an event that had like 250, 350 people, and we never could hit over 200. We'd like barely skim. We'd hit like 175, 185, 195. We could never hit 200.
I feel like, I mean, it's easy in hindsight, but I feel like if you guys had been there, I mean, if it had been other circumstances, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it would have. Like, you guys are so creative. So? Yeah, you guys are so creative, and you guys really created something very special and different.
Yeah.
Just that atmosphere that you guys created was just, and it was just being yourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all it takes. Like, we talked about another podcast before about being scene leaders, and like, and it just takes being involved enough to like know who you're going for and what else you need.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what made your events kind of work out very well. Did you guys ever think about using a hotel? I mean, I don't know if there's any big hotels in Albuquerque.
Yeah, no, there's the tango scene and the salsa scene they do a lot of hotel events, but renting a hotel is really expensive.
Yeah, and I don't know if did you get to the point where you actually used a hotel? Because like, I didn't know this until like a couple years ago, where I was like, if you run a hotel event, it's not about the attendees, it's about the rooms.
Oh, you know what? We never really got there, because I went and looked at a couple of hotels initially when we first started out, and for like a very simple setup, they wanted like a base starting pay of like $5,000 a night. And I was like, I'm looking for something like $45 an hour.
I don't even want nights. I just want an hour.
And the lady looked at me and was like, yeah, I think we're done here.
Yeah. I think you should go to the Days Inn.
You need to go to the Days Super 6 motel.
Yeah, right. I think they have a very nice coffee room you could borrow.
So we didn't. We never really tried to do a hotel event, because it wasn't in.
You never got to that
budget.
critical mass and everything. Like, yeah.
Exactly.
Do you prefer hotel events to non-hotel events, like nowadays?
Oh man.
Or do you not care? Or do you?
No.
What do you care about? Tell me really what you care about.
I think there's something really special about dancing in a really beautiful venue, like a vintage ballroom.
Yeah.
But that doesn't carry me through an entire weekend of happiness. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could sit and stare at a beautiful ballroom all the live long day, but it doesn't do a whole lot for me if I have to like trek 3 miles to get to where I'm staying in the cold rain with no restaurants around, or no place for me to get food, or uphill both ways. Or seriously, San Francisco, that place has some steep hills that I climbed recently with all that equipment. It's like 50 pounds of equipment. Or like Like, if you need to like go to Walgreens or a CVS to get some toothpaste, like, it's hard to do those things, and everything takes longer, and so you're just taking more time out of your day to travel, and it ends up being more expensive because then you have to like find a place to stay, and then you have to Uber over there or rent a car or walk 45 minutes, as opposed to being in a hotel. Like, if it's raining outside, you don't have to go outside.
Yeah.
You have a restaurant there.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like when I was younger, I was in a lot of hotel events. And when I mean younger, as like mid 2000s, when I was going to events, like I feel like everything was at a hotel. And nowadays I can only think of like a couple, like Lindy Fest, Lone Star, and Camp Hollywood and ILHC.
Lindy Focus.
Oh, yeah, and Lindy Focus, of course. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Lindy Focus just found the fucking best. Like, everything about Lindy Focus just falls into place. Like, I feel like, I mean, granted, I'm sure there's plenty of work to make sure those things go into place. But I think that slam dunk with that hotel, because it's gigantic. And it's got that gigantic...
probably also the biggest hotel in Asheville. They probably can't get any bigger than that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, they're at capacity already.
Yeah. And I don't know. I feel... My preference right now, and maybe this is like me getting older, is in general, like, I like hotel events.
Me too.
But like I just said before, like, Harlem is not in a hotel. Harlem is all over Vilnius, all over the city. And luckily they have like 2 main spots, like Thursday night and Sunday night is in 2 different spots. And then Friday night and Saturday night are in the same building, which is beautiful. And it's not because it's not like beautiful because like, oh my God, the decorations and everything or the architecture. It's just something about the simplicity of it. Like, it's just a big hall and that's it. And like, and I love it. I love it so much. I mean, you know why? Actually, sorry, I just remembered. It's because it has like an upstairs, like right around the dance floor. So you can be like watching everybody from an upstairs vantage point. And like, I just feel like that's something
so
about
cool.
that feels really cool about it. Yeah.
It's super cool. I do have to say that, like, I really enjoy the comfort right now of a hotel event, because if I'm at the dance and I'm not feeling it, or I'm hungry, I can leave for a couple hours. I can go up to my room and take a nap or shower or whatever, and then I can come back down when I'm ready. As opposed to at a non-hotel event, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't feel like I can leave right now, because it's going to take so long for me to go wherever I'm going, or it's going to cost me extra money.
You don't ever get to see tired Rachel. You get to you just get to see her not there with her hoodie up.
Yeah, like right now, hoodie is up, but it's only because my house is freezing. It's like 70 degrees outside today. It's so cold.
I feel so bad for you. That is,
I know.
That sounds like
really
a cold hell. That sounds like a cold hell that I do not want to be a part of.
I know, it's really cold.
The other thing is, I don't know how these Europeans do with this like Celsius bullshit.
I know.
3 outside? I don't know what that means.
It's like, what is 3?
What is 3?
It?
What
like,
is 3? Why is there 3 of it?
Why?
Why can't you just give me somewhere with like 100 I get? That's hot. Yeah, see? But 3? What does that mean?
Why? So what do you
Well, now that we got that over with. Oh no, Rachel's just gonna be quiet now. Okay, so hotel events, yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay. I say yay as well.
I say yay.
I say yay as well. Yay.
I mean, I think there's like a time and a place for them too.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't think I would want to go to a Lindy Exchange at a hotel event. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but at the same time,
there's like that ragtag feeling. Well, yes, it makes it easier, but part of an exchange is to like showcase the city that you're staying at.
To maybe exchange with the dancers,
winky. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah, I do. I do.
ILHC, I have no desire to leave the hotel.
Exactly.
I just want to like be comfortable, do my competitions, dance the dances.
If it wasn't for my friends who like are kind of smokers, and I don't think I would ever see outside.
Exactly. I think this year at Lindy Fest, I didn't step outside once the entire weekend.
Yeah, I mean, why would you? Because it's so sticky out there at that time of the year in Texas.
Yeah.
So that besides that, like, I mean, you said ILHC, the contest. If it wasn't ILHC, let's say if it was just like a regular event, do contests actually excite you? Is that a deal breaker or anything? Or deal maker?
I don't go to an event specifically for contests other
Besides
than
ILHC, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that this is something that a lot of people are torn about. Like, some people really don't like contests at events.
Yeah.
Some people really want to compete in every single contest that they possibly can. I think it's really up to the organizers to decide whether or not a competition is going to bring value to their event. Like, what kind of event are you throwing, and why are you having a competition? Are you having a competition to make some extra money? Because it's an easy way to make extra money. Yeah. Are you throwing a competition because you know you're going to have a lot of really good dancers, and so you want to see them throw down? Do you have a competition because that's what everybody else is doing? I think understanding why you have it is going to be indicative of whether or not it's valuable or not. I find personally
that is great, actually. Sorry, I just want to say one thing. Is like, that is great. That is completely true. If anybody wants to run a fucking contest, you fucking do it because you actually want to see somebody like win. Not because like, hey, it'll be great. No, fucking contest. Somebody has to win. Like, make it very clear, straightforward that like you need them to battle it out type thing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, there's a lot of events that we go to and I'm like, I don't see a lot of value in this competition. And not only that, but they're not particularly interesting or inspiring as a spectator. And maybe I'm just being like negative and jaded, but there are surprisingly few contests that I watch nowadays where I'm like, that was a really good competition.
Yeah. No, I agree. I have to agree. I mean, like, there's great dancers out there. This doesn't mean that.
Oh,
it's like,
totally.
It's just it's at the same time, and I think it's like, what do you want from this contest? Do you want people just to compete?
Yeah.
Or do you want them to compete because you want somebody like throw down and really bring this amazing thing? That's what like Showdown did a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, even when they did it in New Orleans too, but like, I feel like when it first came out, it was because there was so many disqualifications at ALHC that Showdown was born, because they were like, you know what? There's no disqualifications. There's just 3 different contests: a slow contest, a fast contest, and a medium contest. Yeah. Do whatever you want as long as you think it's Lindy Hop, go for it.
Well, and those videos were some of the most inspirational videos I ever watched. They were so amazing.
I mean, at the same time, like, they changed the scene of dance contests because they created the phrase battling that we use so commonly nowadays.
Yeah.
I remember back when Hillary at Camp Hollywood like was like, nah, no phrase battles. And I was like, wow, going against the grain, holy shit, you know. And then now she's like, well, we'll do it, but if we do it, I'm counting people in. Like, you know, she's like, I'm not gonna give this to anybody else, because I mean, there's so many clips online where people fuck up the timing or fuck up the count. So like, she's like, if this is gonna get messed up, it's gonna be because of me, not because I let somebody else do it. So I was like, you know, good up on that.
I love the battle style that Inspiration does, where it's like 2 couples go out at the same time and the judges have to choose on the spot, because it creates for a very exciting contest, whether or not the contest is actually exciting, because it's like the thrill of seeing everybody decide in the moment who's moving forward. You're like, wah!
It's quick too, like, and it's so fast. I mean, the hardest part is the judges having to choose like immediately.
Yeah.
Luckily,
totally.
Luckily, like, I think. Actually, to be fair, we stole that from ULHS as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when they moved to New Orleans, that's what they started doing. They started on the spot judging. Yeah. But like, the thing is like, they did it in a way that was, the only one little flaw they did was they gave the judges a chance to do, you know, this couple or not vote, you know, undecided.
Oh.
Which caused so many things, and this is what the backlash was when they got to the finals. The finals wasn't exciting as like some of the preliminary contests were, because they went like 3 or 4 times. Like the legendary one is like the Juan and Sharon against the Decavitas.
Right.
And they went like 4 times. And they couldn't decide a winner. So they were like, it was crazy. And so all the energy was crazy and up. And just like you're saying, it's like you get everything right there. Like the winner, the loser, and the amazing dancing that they just did.
The year that I was at Showdown was, it was Dax and Annie against Chance and Joanna.
Yeah, I remember that. That was the first year.
That was the first year it was in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And it was audience judged.
Yeah. That was the first time they did audience judge too, and so all the finals those couple years after that, where they were final, the finals were judged by audience approval, like one hand over the other one. Yeah, but that was only the finals. All the preliminaries were judged by judges, and it was still done by that, even at the end. I have the proud badge to wear, which is basically like I got to MC the last Ultimate Lindy Hop Showdown, and that's what we did. Yeah. It's because of me it ended. Let's just admit that, okay? I wanted it to fail, and I made the best part of it, which basically is I was talking into a microphone, and nobody wanted to hear me anymore.
Well, we already all knew that.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, boo, boo, boo. Boo, boo, boo.
So do you think, when I take like in my head of like how many event organizers out there, and managers, directors, whatever you want to call them, like amazing people that put this great event out there and give us jobs and things to aspire to. How many of them do you think actually make a living off of it, and how much do you think is like a side project?
I think most of them are doing it as a side project.
Would you say like 50? No, would you say like 60-40 for a side project?
I mean,
or more than that.
The only people I can think of right now who do it full time as a living is Hillary for Camp Hollywood, and Michael and Jaya for Lindy Focus.
Oh yeah.
Who else does it full time?
I'm trying to think. I think that's about it.
Because
I mean, even some of the European scenes, there are a few. I don't know who the organizers are, but I know there's a few.
Yeah.
But not many.
And I mean, why do you ask?
It's just curious because I feel like the people that do it for a living like really have a like strong foothold, and like they have something very valuable to give to the scene. And they've been events that have been around for a long time. That doesn't mean that they're great because they've been around for a long time. That just means like they are doing something. I've often said this about
Tanya with Camp Jitterbug.
Oh yeah, that's true too. That's right. Oh yeah. But I've often said this about like Hillary and Camp Hollywood, and it's kind of a joke. I don't know if it sounds mean. I'll just say it out loud. But it's just like I feel like she's been really relevant because she's been able to like move slowly. She doesn't change like every year like sharply where people like I don't even know why I go to this event. Like it's pretty straightforward. You know you're gonna get crazy good big bands all weekend long. Yeah. And then like the teacher lineup changes a little bit every year. And then maybe she changes maybe other 2-3 years she changes like something in a contest. You know?
Yeah.
And like there's something to be said about that. Like there's something to be said like she has something very good there. And also she has a great time spot. Like that end of summer. Like we were talking about before, like the pool has a big part to play at Camp Hollywood.
The pool is a big part of it.
And I think it's because it's like the last hurrah of summer.
Well, yeah, and it feels like that pool is so luxurious. You feel like you're on vacation.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, and she really utilizes it with the Miss Camp Hollywood contest.
Yeah. Well, she lets other people do things like the Miss Camp Hollywood contest is like a part of Camp Hollywood, but like she really doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Other than giving the prize at the very end, you know?
Yeah,
And then the same thing for like the underground Jitterbug stuff that they do there, which is the Nick Peterson stuff. She doesn't do anything with it, but she's like, you should go for it, you know? Go ahead. As long as I don't have to do anything, you should do it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I like that kind of attitude where it's like, do you think it's going to help the event? Great.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, then I had nothing to do with it, you know?
Totally.
And then so like people like Michael and Jaya, like we talked about this like kind of a little bit before we went on and started recording, was like everything about that event like is them.
Yeah,
You know,
I
like
think
it's like every little part of it, and I feel like part of that has to do with it's part of their living.
it is. Yeah, I think it's a direct reflection of who they are as people. You know, like you can see the labors of their work in the event. You can see how hard they've
Oh, yeah.
worked. You can see that they have spent the entire year organizing and figuring everything out. And I personally really appreciate that, not only from like an organizing perspective, but from an attendee perspective, because I know everything's going to be on time. I know things are going to be the way that they say they're going to be.
Yeah.
I know it's easy for me to look at the schedule and know exactly where I should be at what time for any particular event.
Yeah. There was another event before Steve and Rebecca Drovacheski, which they used to run Boston Tea Party, and that was one of the things that you can always count on. Like everything starts on time.
Yeah.
Everything, whether it was a band, whether it was a contest, a performance, whatever, it started on time. That it said on the schedule. You know, and that was mainly due to like, again, like they weren't full timers because they had side jobs or they had main jobs and this is their side job, but they treated it like it was their main thing. And that same sense of like every little part of them goes into that. So it's a reflection of who they are. And Rebecca was known to be like basically a hard ass and basically go, nope, we're starting on time. You ready? No, doesn't matter. Starting right now. You know, like, and be very direct. And I'm like, there's something to be said about that because I feel as Lindy Hoppers, we go too much with the joke that, you know, like we're always late, we're always like slightly behind, you know, whatever. I'm like, we don't have to be. I'd rather be on time.
No,
I think
we
you've
don't-
heard me.
we don't have to be.
I think you've heard me at like Inspiration Weekend where I'm like, I want to start on time, and I'm like constantly looking at the minutes. I'm like, okay, we're like 10 minutes behind. We can make it up here or something, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really cool. And with Michael and Jai at Lindy Focus, you can definitely bet that everything's going to start on time, and I really, really appreciate that. It shows a level of professionalism too, as well. Like, not that that's a make or break for me, but like that's something that's really good. It's like if them or any other organization is like strict by the clock, by the minute, you know, like they have a really good idea about what they want from the event.
I will say that is a make it or break it thing for me. If an event is really disorganized, I don't want to go. I don't want to go because it doesn't feel like they have put in the time or effort to make my time and money valuable. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, totally.
Like I've spent all this money to fly across the country and to enter into your event, and I'm spending all weekend here, and I'm taking time off of work, and so I want a well organized event in return.
Yeah. I really think that you're not alone on that. I think the majority of the people out there in the Lindy Hop scene think that same way. It's like because they're adding value, they're putting the money forward to do this thing, so they want to kind of, their expectations want to be met, and that's not a horrible thing, to be fair. Like even the smallest expectation of like running on time, like I feel like that's a small expectation to have.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to make a dance event original and special. But all it takes is like really like the guts to really go out there and try to make it the best event you can possibly do, even if it's just a run of the mill, like classes, dances, contests. That's it.
Yeah.
But there's small steps you can take, like making things on time, creative names, create an atmosphere, invite people in. I don't know, put a strong name goes behind everything. Like I feel like Cowbell is good. No, sorry. I think Cowbell is like amazing because it's Laura. It is all that event is like from her brain, and we just go and do what she tells us to do because like she's a very specific plan for everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like when events have that, they're succeeding. Like after that first event, it exploded into this giant event. And so events can do that. Like it just needs to be very clear about what they want to have from the event.
Totally.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the question of the week?
We should totally do that. What's the question?
Oh my gosh.
We'll
the
spend
question
another
of the
20 hours talking about this question, I think.
Yeah. This question this week comes from David Lee. Hi, David.
Aww. Hi, David.
Hi, David.
Hi, David.
He says, last episode. Now, to be fair, he submitted this question in a while ago.
Yeah.
So this wasn't actually last episode. I don't remember what episode this came from.
Probably episode.
Anyway, he says, last episode mentioned homogeneous dancing, but also some variety as styles from Savoy dancers, West Coast dancers, and boogie woogie are all thrown into the mix. Can you speak to whether you see regional accents still in Lindy? If so, can you describe the differences? When was there a time when you saw a good amount of difference, and what can be done to encourage it?
I mean, that is such a loaded question. I mean, like, I want to
So
start
much
from the end.
question there. That's like a big.
Like, when was the
That's a
last
big
time?
fat-
Yeah, seriously, it's
big fat
huge. I mean,
question.
there's so many questions in there actually, but like, I think the last time I can think of like really having like differences in Lindy Hop scenes was before like YouTube and the internet had a really big play on it.
Totally. Yeah.
So like, I remember a time like I was sitting, I think it was maybe after a Lindy Groove or something a long time ago. And I was sitting because I was sitting at Caro's. I hate that place. And and I was sitting there with my cousin Josh and Peter Loggins, and we were watching a tape that Peter had on his super VHS fucking camera thing, and he was showing us a clip of like a jam that he recorded in Seattle.
Okay.
You know? And I was like, holy crap, that's amazing. That's so cool. Like, they dance so different from us, you know? Like, that's what I remember, being so surprised. And then at some point now I'm not surprised anymore because I could see it ahead of time on YouTube, you know? So, like, I feel like that has to do with something. And the idea of, like, the homogeneous dancing, like, I just feel like it's homogeneous in the sense of, like, how, like, Savoy and like, the Hollywood styles are, like, really prevalent today. And then it kept going. It kept going. It didn't just stop there. I think I don't know if it's very different regional, but I know it's different in the way people learn. Does that make sense? Like in different.
I think it used to be different regionally though. Like
I
remember
for
when I
sure.
first started dancing, I could go and be like, "Oh, you're definitely a dancer from Denver. You're definitely a dancer from Seattle. You're definitely a dancer from Southern California or the East Coast or wherever." And I could go to an event and be like, "Hey, are you from the East Coast? Yeah, I can tell by your swing out." You know, it was like listening to someone talk.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, you've got that Boston accent. I know you're from Boston."
I remember there was L.A., San Francisco, Seattle, Houston, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and like New England, we'll say, because it's like New York to Boston, like all that area. Like I feel like those were the biggest regions when I first started being like aware of the bigger dance scene. Like I would say like 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
There was definitely a big difference everywhere. And then I feel like it started to change after that because YouTube became more prevalent, and then everything kind of like not got to be similar, but like it was like flares, like, oh yeah, you look like this guy, or this guy looks like this guy, or you're trying to do what that guy did in that video. You know,
well, I also think that there's more events now, and people are traveling more. Everything's more accessible.
Very true.
And so
Very true.
We're essentially more inbred than we were before.
Yeah, I would.
You know,
I would
it's like
I would definitely agree with that.
I mean, it's like anything with like pop culture, or with language, or fashion. Like as we've progressed as a society, we're more homogenized.
And that's not. I mean, like I feel like there's negative connotation to that, but like I feel like it's a good thing. It shows evolution because like even like when we look back, like Shorty George to Frankie Manning.
Yeah.
You know, like it's very clear to see the difference. You know, like one is heavily Charleston influenced, the other one is more lower and rhythm influenced. You know, like in a different rhythm. So I feel like it's just gonna constantly happen over time, where it's just the evolution. It's gonna change. And like, you know, it goes back to that same old like saying that, you know, like the only two things certain in life is change and death, or taxes and death. Maybe I fucked that up. Anyways, but this is it. We're going to die and we're going to change.
So you think it's a good thing that the dance has homogenized?
I think it's a good thing that the dance has evolved.
Okay.
And I don't think this is the end. Like, this is not like, I feel like homogenize is a poor term, and I feel stupid saying that, but I feel stupid having said it in the first place. But but I feel like right now it looks like very similar because we have such a better view of what it looks like all over the world. Like you said, we travel a lot more. We have YouTube, and we talk a lot more about it.
Yeah.
But I think one of the important things is to encourage people to remember that, like, you're learning stuff in classes, which is so heavily prevalent in today's Lindy Hop community than it was like back in 2004, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like, remember what you learned in classes, but remember to make it yours. If it doesn't feel quite right, then change something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because like what works for me or what works for you may not work for another person or another couple. You know, like I feel like that's everywhere in life. Like, there's no one way. And if you're thinking that is, then like, I'm sorry, Lindy Hop is just not that way. Like,
how do you think this affects like contests, for example? Like, for example, I think like I see David at events maybe like once or twice or 3 times a year at the most. And he's got a very different style than most other Lindy Hoppers.
Oh, big time, yeah.
And I just wonder, like, what do you think that there is something like if you are a more mainstream style Lindy Hopper that you get validated more in competitions, like you get put in finals more, you win more?
I think so, because it's a sort of a bias. Like, we try not to be biased as judges and everything, but I feel like if you can identify something by the way you dance it, by the way the judge dances it, then it kind of becomes like very similar things. Because it's like, oh, I can recognize that because that's sort of like what I do. Oh, that must mean it feels like this, and that to me feels good. Or vice versa, to be like, oh, that's not really what I do. Maybe it feels bad, you know? But then again, there's other ways too. I mean, like, there is no unbiased opinion when it comes to an art form like this, especially when we have no code of how to do it, you know? There's no straightforward like codification of it.
Do you think that in some ways those could stunt creativity or stunt individual voices?
Yes, it does, and then it inspires other things as well. It's like, just like when we go back to like the Dark Ages, like right after, if it wasn't for the Dark Ages, we never have like the Enlightened period and like the Renaissance and everything.
It's actually pronounced the Renaissance.
I'm gonna punch you in the Renaissance.
The Renaissance.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, without a period of like kind of like nothingness where nothing is creative. And then I feel it only breeds more creativity afterwards because people are so like stunted.
But do you think that creativity is created by the people who are quote unquote homogenized, or by the people who are already doing their own thing?
It's gonna be created by a newer generation.
Okay.
That's the way I feel about it. Like, I mean, yeah, there's new things happening, but like, let's put it this way: like, Remy wasn't very prevalent like 3 years ago. Like 3 years ago, but now he really is. Yeah. So like, it's not to say
he's
that
like the hot thing of 2016.
Yeah, because he finally felt comfortable enough to let everybody in on his way of thinking and feeling the dance. Yeah. So I think with that we're gonna end it because my battery is about to die over here.
Oh, look
I know,
at
I
that.
suck. So what's your bright side for today?
Oh my gosh, my bright side is oh man, I just really like this question. I wish we could have talked more about it. I like the question. You like
the question?
Yeah, I like the question. I like thinking about like the individuality and the.
Well, let's do this then. We just scratch the surface on it, obviously, for sure. Like, why don't we make it another podcast another time? So we'll put it in a different list and make sure to like hit it again.
Put it on the list. Thanks,
exactly.
David.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David. What's your bright side?
My bright side is that we have such a mixture of different things. Like we may look at the dance as kind of like becoming this one solid thing that we're trying to define.
Yeah.
But I see it as though like maybe this is happening. Maybe that solid thing is happening, but maybe someone else, not me, or maybe someone that hasn't even started dancing yet is gonna come in and gonna go like, oh, you guys are doing this. What about all this stuff over here? You know,
Yeah.
like, and then start changing it, and that gives me like hope for the future of the dance. You know, this isn't the end. Like this dance has only been around less than 100 years.
Totally.
So like we have a long way to go, and this is just like another bump in the road.
Just a long, winding road.
Long and winding road. I
Wow.
sang.
That was your turn. It was your turn to sing.
I did it.
Oh.
It was a Beatles song. It was a Beatles song too. It was good.
Good job. He got really rock star with that too. Just a diva, swinging his hair around. Yeah.
It's the hair
That
going
hair.
up, and then
It's
I'm
going
tilting the
up.
microphone down, so I'm like
Yep.
speaking up to it.
Yeah, you look like a regular old rock star. Oh, OG.
Fucking hot mess, right? Yeah.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
I like you got the punk style going on. Your goes is
I do.
straight up.
It's just straight up. That's because I haven't washed it in 5 days.
Secrets out.
Secrets out.
I see you subscribe to the Joe Hofberg method.
I do. I will say, thanks, Joe. She was the one who inspired me to only shower once a week. Not shower, wash my hair once a week. I still shower, every couple months. Don't worry, guys.
I love how you like
think-
backtracked. You backtracked just a little bit. You're like, wait, no, I shower. I smell okay. Everybody, seriously.
I smell okay sometimes, maybe. I mean, got like bugs and stuff under my arms, but
It's a
hey,
strong musk of coffee. Let's.
it's called the ecosystem, okay?
All right.
It's natural.
So, everybody, you can catch us and our amazing hair on the Facebooks, and we record everything. We put it on SoundCloud, and the RSS feed switches everything over to iTunes, where you can hear us speak about the Lindy Hop things and everything else. If you made it this far into this conversation, know
Congratulations.
Congratulations. There is 15 other episodes that you can hear us talk about. It's really cool to see people, or hear people rather, come up to us and say like, hey, really like this podcast, or like, can't wait for the next one, or where's the next one? Why hasn't it popped up?
Yeah.
I'm like, I just uploaded it yesterday. Why didn't you check?
sorry.
They're like, God, I want it in my iPhone
I need
now.
it now. I need it now. Send us your questions. Send us your comments. If you send us a really good comment, maybe we'll have a comment of the week.
Maybe. I mean, like we're still waiting on good comments.
Still waiting on those good complimentary comments.
Just instead of telling us that the Mikey is so loud and the girl voice is just perfect.
You know what? You can't blame me for perfection. I'm just.
It's true.
I'm just that good. Okay, we're signing off.
Bye.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.